Hey everyone, this is Austin Schur here with We Write About Music, and today I am speaking with Jackee of Wolfstang. She has just released a fantastic new EP called Daddy Wounds, and I'm super excited to talk to her all about it. Jackee, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, and it's my pleasure to be here.
I am so happy to have you. You must be beyond relieved that all these songs are out and into the world and they're doing their own thing. I can only
It's
imagine the relief.
amazing.
For real. It kind of is.
It totally is. For me, I mean, I'm not a mother of a human yet, and so this very much feels like I had a baby. And there was also blood in the process. So
I fully believe that. Well, I will be one of the first to say that it is a beautiful baby, and I highly recommend people check it out and listen to it. The first thing that I'd really love to cover here is that each song feels like it has its own meaning, but I'd love to know either individually or as a whole what this EP means to you and really what it's all about.
yeah, um, it's definitely a collection of 5 songs that all run on the same theme, if you will. Um, it's a glimpse into my experience with the patriarchy without sounding too bandwagony because I really don't want to sound that way. But,
Sure.
um, I'm a female in this world we live in. I'm a late millennial. I was born in the 80s and I dealt with a lot of the issues that we talk about as women and in the equality conversation and all that. And so, and a lot of my own personal trauma has uh, has been around or orbited around like core issues dealing with my biological father,
Hmm.
who in this case is daddy of daddy wounds. And um, when you have, in my experience, when you have a broken father, broken family system from zero, and in my case, even an abusive father, um, it sets you on this path to learn hard lessons because you didn't have that support system, you didn't have that male strength in your life as a young girl, in my case, and it took me 3 decades to really start and address the trauma, my childhood trauma. I suffered deeply from anxiety. Um, I call myself a high functioning anxious person because that's been my experience. But at some point, it just got to be too much. And I have used psychedelic therapies, ketamine notably, um, to address the anxiety, amongst other things.
Yeah.
And it's been instrumental in sending me on really back onto the path of performing and writing. My father was a singer songwriter. I have, always been a performer, and I just stopped in my 20s because of my own internal critic and a bunch of criticism from, unfortunately, men in my case. And that happened, that this is a relatable story. This is not unique to me. And I got to a point where because of therapy, I thought, well, shit or get off the pot. Time's now.
Totally.
The clock is ticking in many ways, and you better perform or die. And so uh, I started writing Daddy Wounds in COVID, and um, so the whole project deals with addresses my relationship with a father who wasn't my biggest fan. The hook in Daddy was is why weren't you my biggest fan? Why were you the bad man? Um, and then I deal with my experience in being indoctrinated into Christianity. I deal with that in Grandpa Jack, who was a fine, amazing character who I still love to this day, and my namesake. But he was the character that the universe decided to use to indoctrinate me into this this religion when I was young, and what that does to people when you grow up and realize that you know when you grow up and question all these things that people put upon you as a child. Um, then there's a song called Night Terror that is about anxiety. It's about literally having night terrors, these experiences where I wake up feeling like I'm dying, and so I flail and like uh, run around the room or um, try to gather myself in
Sure.
reality, and it's not fun. Um, they're quite debilitating. And then there's a little bit in there about high school boyfriend. Um, and then there is a song called Bad Habit, which is a about a clown that I fell in love with, a real life clown, and he rocked my world and he stole all my money. And um, then the final song's called Ain't No Man, and it's a nod to the Delta blues of the 1940s and this premonition I had about all this blues music that I love so much.
Hmm.
It's predominantly sung by men, and it's wonderful and I love it. And there are female blues singers as well, of course, but it's predominantly, we know blues is like being sung by a male voice. And but why? Like, ain't no man gonna tell me how to sing the blues.
It's
And
true.
yeah, and so that's like the gist of the project as a whole. And I think it's a relatable story. I know it's a relatable story. And so my mission is to tell my story because it's do or die for me as a I don't know, artist or whatever you want to call me. Um but I feel that it's like uniquely human to tell stories, and we all have ways and mediums in order to do that. Mine just happens to be music and writing. And so like let's do it, let's all share.
I sincerely appreciate you actually giving a breakdown because, I mean, not to fault others that I speak to, but so many are just like, yeah, I just made up these stories. They have no personal meaning. But literally hearing the breakdown of these songs, like, I thank you for one, being open, and one, you must feel some sort of relief that these songs are on paper and now they're living, breathing things. I know you've obviously been through so much, tough times to say the least, but you have these songs to reflect on and others can relate to, which is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I can't tell a lie. It's like it,
You
and
shouldn't.
I'm not trying to be glorious or anything. It's just literally like I'm not good at it. So
I completely understand.
all of the stories are true. I can only write what I know. Um,
Good,
I'm happy to do it.
good. Well, I want to talk a bit about the sound and the style and the genre influence on this record because while it is definitely got like a signature feel to it, like you can feel like, wow, this is coming from one artist. You do deviate in genre, which is fantastic. So, what was like the inspiration behind that? You've spoke upon it a little bit on like the blues, but this has got like country and rock and Americana and just like what was the thought process behind all that?
Oh man, it's impossible to define my love for music in like just by listing off genres. I mean, I
Sure.
love everything, with the exception of like a few new things that are coming up.
I feel the
Um,
same. There's always
but
something that kind of is not great.
yeah, but um, so for this record, it became clear. I'm currently in California. I have a spot out in the desert in Palm Springs.
Nice.
Um, so it's very much influenced by where the geography of where I'm living now and what I'm listening to now. And so we felt like Dusty Rock was kind of a starting point. There were influences from White Stripes, or let's say the Jack White guitar sound.
I
Even
felt that.
um, their Night Terror was influenced. This is kind of a joke, but I mean, I was definitely inspired and shooting for Trent Reznor in that one.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Like I said,
and
there's so much going on here. I wouldn't be surprised if he threw any names out there. So,
well, and I such a beautiful, beautiful composer, and
Hmm.
it I found quickly how difficult it is to get that. Um, and so, but truthfully, that's what inspired that, and sounds of the ocean, um, and seagulls because I live in front of the ocean.
Right.
and and then there's the influences from, like I said, the Delta blues from the 1940s, that crackly sound. If you were to just go in and like Spotify or wherever you listen to music, just put like 1940s Delta blues, and it's going to send you back in time to this like sweaty, swampy, like, you know, like amazing time that that I mean, I don't know because I wasn't there, but I like
Yeah.
to
Just
fantasize about it. That's for sure. And the sound was so authentic
right.
and real, and you could really feel the pain. Um, and then there's some, of course, country. When I write, I mean, I'm from Ohio and Texas, and
Hmm.
I grew up listening to country, and I love it. And so I don't know if that's why, but 90% of the time when I write, it sounds like country in my head. Um, so that's naturally going to have, going to seep its way into the sound sonically. And then I tried to get some groove in there where I could, because groove is super important to
Sure.
me. And and yeah, so I think that pretty much covers it for for this project. And it's a little poppy, like the vocals are a little poppy. And the gentleman who mixed it has his roots in metal, and so
Oh
I
wow.
think I think it's really, and the producer as well, SJ Rock and Roll Jones. She Her roots are in metal too, and I think that didn't scare me away. But I thought I love the juxtaposition of different sounds and bringing in different points of view, and so that's that. Hence, you get Daddy Wings.
I feel the same. Like I said, it is definitely rooted in country, and I understand why you could say like that's what seeps out. But it really does a focused job of keeping it wide, and like you're attracting audiences who may listen to one thing and can find that in a song here and there, and it like it keeps them hooked. If you know what I'm saying, like I
Yeah,
really
I hope
enjoyed
so.
it. Of
And
course. Now you seem like the type of artist that if they have an idea and it doesn't work for like a cohesive album experience, you might save it for later. Are you always writing or experimenting for something along the line, like down the line?
yes, I it is it's sort of a torture,
Sure.
because I can't. It costs money to make good music,
Yeah,
unless you're a virtuoso, which so many. I mean, most of us aren't. Um, and so you have to really pick and choose which ideas are worthy of spending money on
yeah,
to make music, to make a finished song. So that's like 5% of my ideas. But pretty much every day, every other day, I'm writing lyrics and concepts and coming up with melodies and chord progressions, um, that might fit together, might not. But it's like, man, it's a struggle because um, I you live life and you have so many stories, and the the muse or the whatever, comes through you, and it always feels important, and it always feels important to me in my heart, and it makes me want to put it somewhere and do something with it. And so and I started making music in this way a little later in life. And so there's also this desire and this drive for me to do it now, 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 because I didn't do it for so long because of, the dark devil, doubt monster in my head.
sure. I understand. People don't get that there's a huge leap it takes from drumming it up in your head to actually getting out there and doing it, and the struggles that come in. Like, oh, I'm gonna record an album. Okay, but I have no idea what to do, and then you have to figure it out yourself because no one's gonna help you.
Yeah. You really have to be your own champion and figure it
Yep.
out yourself, and make mistakes, and be okay with that. And And that was a challenge for me as well because I'm an entrepreneur and I've succeeded
Yeah,
in business outside of music, and so I'm impatient and in many ways constantly. And so, but I think like steady, slow and steady wins the race is an adage for a reason.
yep,
Um, but you just the point is that the artist has to define what winning is to
of
them.
course. Do you have any plans to play these songs in a live setting?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a gig in Vermont late this summer.
Nice.
Yeah, and then we're gonna do a rock and wow event here in Los Angeles at on the Sunset Strip late September
Sweet.
that celebrates women, rock and roll, and cannabis. Because I come from cannabis,
Sure.
cannabis space. And then maybe again in November, and who knows? I mean, it's like you performing them live is a whole other thing, and that's also expensive. But I think like best job in the world, right? To
I
perform
mean, right? Playing music in front of people that love music, what could be better?
nothing. I don't know.
Pretty much nothing. I mean, in my head. So it looks like you're starting to plan out the rest of the year as tentative as it might be, but I hope more stuff pops up. Do you have any idea what you might want to do for the next year, hypothetically? Like if all goes well?
Oh yeah. So I'm starting to write again in June next month,
Nice. Okay.
or this month. Are we? No,
Yeah.
next month. Tomorrow.
Jeez. I know. Time
We're
is nuts.
yeah, I have 3 songs ready to be written. They're sad songs. I'm excited to take what I learned from Daddy Wounds, challenge my voice more, challenge my songwriting abilities more in by way of being more involved, even more involved in the like mixing
Okay.
side of things. Um and that's just super. I just love the process of writing. I mean, it's the first time in my life that we always say it's not about the end game, it's about the journey, and that's about the journey. And that can be annoying sometimes when you're on the
I feel
receiving
yeah.
end of it. But this was the first time that was true for me. I was like, oh, okay. It's nice to execute and have a finished product, but the act of writing is so amazing and fun. And you get to deal with and participate with talented people. There's so much talent. There's so much talent everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I'm writing, and I'll have another many singles or another EP. I'm not sure by the end of by this time next year.
I love that. I say take your time, let this one breathe. It's fresh, get into people's ears, and I think that they're really gonna love it.
Thank
Um,
you so much.
I got a couple more questions for you at this point. You've touched a little bit upon your inspirations and your influences, but I want to know is what you listen to today, like any present current music, have any influence on what you're making?
Oh God, yeah. Well, let's just like pull up Spotify
I
and
mean,
look
might
at
as
my
well
last
whip out the playlist,
look
right?
at my last like songs.
There you go.
Grandpa Jack from Wolfstang, nice. This shout out.
You got to rep yourself
I got the
first and
Rapture.
foremost. Oh,
Uh,
nice.
the
Okay.
Rapture. Get myself into an old school 2000s. I got Lean on Me, Club Nouveau from the 90s.
Sweet.
Disturbed, Inside the Fire, Sia, Don't Bring Me Down, Corn, Shoots and Ladders, Blue Monday Orgy, Duran Duran, Paula Abdul, Chromatics.
You've got a wide variation of artists on here. I love that
Kendrick
though.
Lamar's new album.
Yeah.
Let me just say shout out to Kirk Hammett's new guitar. Well, it's full instrumental
Yeah.
album out now. It's like amazing. It blows my mind, and I love instrumental score like albums without lyrics. I think those are overlooked a lot in the pop world.
I agree.
So I
Well,
think that's
thank you.
yeah. That was I mean everything, man. Like everything.
I love that. Jackie, it has been an absolute pleasure getting to talk to you. My final question is really for the person that is going to discover you from this, and for the person that's going to listen to your music for the first time. What is an opening message that you'd like to say to them?
For the person listening to Daddy Wounds for the first time, discovering Wolfstang for the first time, I just want you to know that you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. You have a story to tell too. People want to hear that story, and like your unique gift is your creativity. So go make shit.
I think that's a perfect and just concise answer. And I want to thank you so much again for taking the time to come on and break everything down. But I also want to plug your music one more time. The artist name is Wolfstang. The EP name is Daddy Wounds. And we're going to have links so that people can listen and share and crank it up as loud as possible and really enjoy this for what it's worth. I know I will be and have been. So I want to thank you so much again for taking the time to come on. And I really look forward to whatever else you've got on the way.
Thank you. Yeah, rock and roll.
Yeah. All right. Take care. And I'll speak with you soon.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Bye bye.